Hey,
What up,
Mr.
sir? Thank you
V.
for having me. How you going?
Good. I'm good. How are you? How about yourself?
Fabulous, sir. Thank you. Thank you again for having me. It's a pleasure to catch up with you again and talk about our beautiful industry.
Oh, yes, yes. I think
Uh
today is a hot topic. There's always these
huh.
hot topics. And
Mm-hmm.
how I classify all of these is fear mongering. Our
Mm-hmm.
our industry is
Mm-hmm.
prone to fear mongering.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just that, and it's partly because we're a bunch of marketers, right? And we'll
Mm-hmm.
start labeling, we'll start giving stuff names, and
Mm-hmm.
it'll sound real. And
Mm-hmm.
like and yeah, so I think I just heard a crazy one in a crazy article
Mm-hmm.
talking about warm up doesn't work anymore with all sorts of backed up
Mm-hmm.
research to prove it. So I
Mm-hmm.
figured you know V from Smartlead, this is the founder of Smartlead here, he probably has the most actual data on
Mm-hmm.
this most recent fearmonger, and I figure why not invite you to speak about it.
Always happy to shill the market. Why not? Let's jump it. But so for context for everyone, Andrew and I did have a bit of a back talk before this, just so that we don't come just swinging into the open floor. Um, And I did take a minute to just read into it so that I don't actually just say, oh, it works without having any basis. Some very straightforward queries. Upfront, I didn't do something too crazy. We do have 1 million mailboxes in circulated warm-up right now. So I just took a small sample set and ran it. There is
just
no
just to be
proof to
clear, how
Mhm.
many mailboxes?
1 million. We've
A
crossed a
million.
million.
So you
Yeah,
have
we
you
crossed
have
a
a
million.
pretty significant amount of data in that you get to see. You're very
Some amount
fortunate.
of information. Yeah, some amount of information that we get to flex. I can actually even go ahead and be a bit more whatever and run this live for you. But either way around, I think what I what I want to add in is the statement people are saying is warm up has no difference or net effect. In fact, I think some people said it's a 0.00 something percent change in reply rates. Some people have found. Um, you may have Okay, I'll flag this all, right? Even though we get to claim that we have a bunch of data, I assure you no one really knows what they're saying, right? It's similar to the assumption that SEO experts say they know what they're saying. We don't. Like, it's a black box. We don't even know if this whole
Mhm.
reputation thing is
Yeah.
an actual concept or not. There's generally no clue, right? Even the team at Outlook and Gmail don't know because the people who built this built it 25 years ago and it's like compounded over a long time period. We have best guesses, like we can use things like Spam Assassin, Barracuda, or Google Spam Filter, look at Bayesian curves to figure out whether you're going to be listed in a spam cycle or not. But we still don't know how blacklists work, right? That's still a complete like black hole altogether, black box how it works. There's a lot of mystery here. So with that preamble and sort of taking myself as a net neutral, warmups work. They work simply on a statistical and probability standpoint. The premise over here is straightforward. By no nature of any terms and conditions or vice versa, does any sending entity want you to go ahead and get a fresh domain, fresh mailboxes, and send out hundreds of emails to people that will statistically get you a very, very, very small reply rate, right? And I can back this claim up because I actually put a post out a few days ago saying people tend to think that bounce rates and spam complaints are the two reasons why you end up having a low reputation score, right?
Mhm.
And bounce rates and spam compliance issues are what get you blacklisted. There's one more thing people completely tend to forget, and that's self accountability in general, which is by nature, if you keep sending emails that do not get replies, by nature, right, you will fatigue your account, right? It's as simple as it is. So, any network, even if we were building a platform, like just something as basic as Smartlead as well, right? We have simple parameters in place where if we see someone abusing the system, that means they're sending a whole bunch of stuff that we know is statistically not bringing in the response we have to. We get flags internally and we have someone in the team reach out, right? So someone as straightforward as us doing it, then I assure you the larger people are doing it. So keeping that in mind, if you're sending out cold emails, if you're really good at what you do, sorry about this, if you're really good at what you do, then what's going to end up happening is you're probably going to get, let's say, Andrew, what would be a very like a amazing reply rate for someone doing scale, maybe 10,000 leads. I know I've seen like 30, 40%. right? Sometimes like on a deadly offer, and I think I've seen your
Mhm.
campaigns also do really, really well, right? So let's assume 40%, that's 4,000 leads, right? You're crushing 4,000 replies, you're crushing it.
Mhm.
That's still 6,000 people who've not responded back to you, right? We're looking at the positive, but the negative is the 60%. So
Mhm.
warm-ups by nature are meant to defend that. That's all that is. So there's no statistical proof against it. But I'm not going to give any statistical proof for the fact that warm-ups don't work, because I just don't think that's factually accurate at all in any manner. So that was my derivative behind it. I went and ran some checks to see any correlation between the time of warm-up, the length of warm-up being less than 1 week, and whether people are either getting their mailbox disconnected or whether people are having their, send score low or whatever it is. Because some people do start campaigns in whatever. The only main correlative I picked up, right, maybe not in terms of deliverability, but in the small sample set, is they led to larger disconnects when they started sending before 7 days, which makes sense, right? So that's my straightforward conclusion over there.
And I think you said it very good. The biggest thing is it's a black box, right? It's an algorithm that the ESPs have configured to protect their users, right? And I think the easiest way to think about this, and this is how I've always described it, is this black box is looking for human like behavior, right? Is it human like? Is it if you go to a new job, you get a new email account, is it normal for you to start blasting out hundreds of emails on day one? Right? That's not human like behavior, especially with the same exact message to all these random people and no one replies to you. Like whenever you send a real email to clients or prospects that you are actually speaking with, what 90% of them reply to you, right? So it's normal human behavior, but then you have these cold emails, which probably looks so different than me emailing V back and forth, on Google. Completely different. It doesn't look human like. So I think that's a big piece of it, and that's why these platforms came out to automate. Smart Lead has
Human
a
behavior.
great, yeah, it's to mimic human behavior exactly.
100%. 100%. You've absolutely nailed it. And it's that same, to sort of just tally on top of what you said. This is my counter argument to people who say, oh, warm up, because there's some tools that offer 250 warm up emails a day with 100% reply. I'm like, look, for us, it's not a volume game. Like we send out about our warm up infrastructure itself sends out about 40 million emails a day, right? On average. Well, 40 million sends when you take an average reply rate of about 40%. So that's another 18. So about 58 to 60 million emails in warm-ups go out every single day on our platform. So it's not that we're scared about scale and increasing the number by 100, 200. Server costs don't go up, but no human is sending 200 emails a day and getting 200 replies. It's not how it works. Like you're trying to mimic something that is, these guys are not dumb. Like this is Google and Outlook. They're the creators of effectively modern SMTP networks, right? Like, so they know no one's going to get 200 replies to 200 messages every single day consistently. So yeah, you're on the money. And that's why I think a bunch of people spoke about it. You've spoken about it. I speak about it. Is like randomization is key. Like I get that, people go ahead and do, ramp ups, and there's a whole bunch of stuff you do, right? To light things up, right? The premise over here is you want to keep it as sporadic as possible, to your point, and test to see what works for you. Because too much randomness, again, I'm sure these engines will pick it up. Some layer of consistency always helps, in my opinion. So yeah.
And here's something else, right? So back in the day when warm up first came out, years and years ago, there was always an argument, and I know I've spoken about this before, but there's always been an argument that warm up's going to be banned, right? And I think that it's also very important to know, what do you think? So it's extremely high probability for this black box to know that you're sending cold emails. Would you agree on that? And go ahead.
No, can you repeat the question? Sorry, I don't think I fully understood.
Do you think that the black box has an idea if you're sending a cold email or not? Like, what was the probability that it's able to detect it? The point I was going to make is, it seems to me that they know and they allow it to a degree, as long as in that their black box doesn't assume that it's being abused.
Yeah. I think, we were speaking about a context of, for anyone, we were just randomly speaking about algorithms and, dating algorithms just before we jumped on the call. And I, I really like what you said, Andrew, because I think sometimes it's that poker statement, right? Is you play the player, not the game. And where I'm trying to get at is, by nature of it all, whether you and I want to accept it or not, how much ever morally accurate individuals we are, we will do what's best by the business or our shareholders or our investors. That's the, the hierarchy. So I don't want to claim claims, but these guys are big. And let's be honest, no individual over here who's a mom and pop shop or Gmail accounts or Outlook accounts are giving Outlook or Gmail money. The people giving Outlook and Gmail money outside of Fortune 5000 is us, right? It's generally us. Because if it wasn't, they wouldn't have a reseller network. The whole concept of resellers would not have existed. They know what they're doing. Let's be very clear about that, right? They know what they're doing. Maybe they put a blind eye to it, etc. But they do allow it, which is why when Google came up with that what was it? I think 0.3% spam rate compliance. Yeah, 3 out of 1,000. Yeah. 2 weeks, they flipped, right? There was a ton of lobbying probably that happened in the back end. Everyone shut their pants. Sales, like all the big players, the multi-billion-dollar businesses said, no, you're going to crush our businesses. They flipped it, right? So there is always a money element to it, and you need to just play by the game, to what you said.
Yeah, it just comes down to abuse. Are you working within reason? I give you an example. One of our clients. I don't want to talk about the industry. Keep it somewhat confidential, but basically we were targeting the same 70,000 people monthly, for which retarget them every month, for probably about like 14 months, to the point, well, I've never seen this before. They blacklisted his phone number. They blacklisted his phone number. Right. And right, yeah. I swear to you, if we just remove the phone number or change the phone number, the email went to inbox. We put his phone number in straight to spam. And we tested this like amongst so many different variables. And I think we spent 2 or 3 days to diagnose that his phone number was abused. So they labeled him as by the phone number as a abuser, and you started marking all those emails as spam. So for the prior 12 months, it worked. Till you cross the certain threshold. Right. You know what I mean? So it worked, and it worked well. I mean, I got this guy 6 figures a month. In revenue, yeah. So it worked until it didn't, Yeah.
I know what you mean. And you raised a very good point, because I noticed this trend. I think Matt Lucero pointed this out to me. And he said it was crazy because suddenly out of nowhere he had like a tank dropped in his deliverability, and the way he was assessing that was predominantly through just his replies, right? Because he wasn't tracking opens and so on and so forth. And what he noticed was that, because he was doing also the permutative tests, and his permutative test that he ran was, hey, when I added a Calendly link, it just straight up went to spam, right? And then when I removed it, it worked fine. But for another account, when he added the Calendly link, it was working okay, right? So there's all these weird patterns that come up to your point, which is they use that backtrack, the Bayesian algorithm, to go ahead and figure out, what are the patterns I can find to go ahead and define this as X, Y, and Z, right? So to your point, we want to try keep it as particular as possible. When you're trying to hit the same list over a repeated time cycle, you want to switch it up as much as possible and look different each time, right? So that you don't end up getting caught. So that's all there is. Like, it's the same as the traveling salesman, right? Is you don't want to go knock on the same house one more time. Like, you send your associate to go knock on the door because they'll get annoyed with you, and they'll probably lock you out from the local area. So yeah,
that's a very valid point that you just made too. That for it, the Calendly link is a great example, because it will work sometimes, and then other times it won't. And I feel like a lot of people that don't have the experience, they think that it's a blanket rule. Like, it's a blanket rule. It applies to everything. So if it doesn't work, on this
Yep.
client or this batch of email. It could even be a batch of emails, right? It doesn't work for this batch, that it's not going to work across all different clients and all different campaigns. And that's why like email is so finicky, and that's why people like don't even want to deal with email. You know, a lot of people outsource it because it's the amount of, you know, time and effort it goes to figure out these little nuances. People not everybody has the drive and determination to push through, you know, and figure out these little nuances. So that's a valid point.
100%.
I see lots of people make the comment, I set everything up perfectly. I followed the instructions that you provided me, and it didn't work. You know, and that's kind of that's kind of the game. That's kind of the game that we play.
Yes,
So
it's funny you said that, because I get that all the time as well. It's like, I followed every best practice under sun. I was like, yeah, that was best practice yesterday. Not to be mean to you, but that's just unfortunately how our world
the
is.
reality.
Right?
Like,
that's the reality of how it is. And then you have to go back to the context and the umbrella of this conversation, which is fear mongering in our industry. I will just say this, right? Including myself, right? You can, whoever's listening, you can put me to the same accountability level. Always know the agenda behind why people are saying what they're saying, right? There's very few instances people are saying it with the pure intention of helping you out. And I don't mean in a bad way at all. It's just everyone's in business. We're all salespeople, and we've got one similar agenda, which is to help you, but as a result of helping you, most likely try help ourselves, whether it is through revenue, clients, reputation, whatever it is. There's always an internal element to it. So whenever there's fear mongering, even if you see me post something about that or whatever it is, just be contextually aware that there's two elements. One, if I'm posting about it, I'm probably posting it because someone said something internally, and I'm trying to go and be like, hey, here's the blanket reason as to why this is happening. Use this if you want, otherwise don't. And someone else is posting it, they might be a reason where they're trying to acquire clients or, you know, solve an internal dispute they have. I've seen a bunch of people post on different social platforms, etc., blah, 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 about various random topics, right? With really not having much clue about what they're saying. And that's the fearful factor of what it is. You want to be very careful about where you take your source of truth from, especially when we're in an industry where there's data switched all over the place. Like, someone's going to report the exact opposite of what you're going to report. And where I'm trying to get at with this is very similar to what happened with paid ads back in 2015 and 14 or 16, when e-commerce blew up, and you had all the e-commerce gurus come onto YouTube providing different Facebook strategies, right? And everyone fell for it, saying, okay, hey, I've done your strategy, I'm getting 0 sales, right? Why is it not working for me? It's not as simple as just copy pasting the template and making it happen. You generally have to be someone who can sit, invest, twist, and see what actually works for you. Seen your campaigns, I've seen some of the best people who perform campaigns. None of these guys are just sending blanket campaigns. They've got A/B tests running, parallel campaigns running, mailboxes on rotation. And that's kind of why this sub-industry of Andrew's company exists, is because email's not just getting a few mailboxes and sending emails from a download list from Apollo. It is a lot more nuanced to it nowadays.
Our best customers are the ones that they've tried everything and they just given up.
yeah
They just give up.
Yeah,
Lots of people give up, and it's
but that's a good thing though, right?
Yeah,
because it means they've actually given all, they've tried everything circularly, right? So they know the patience that it takes, and they know it's not easy. And that way, when they come to you with the fact that you're someone who can actually make this happen, and you deliver. So win-win.
Yeah, and that's part of I feel like I'm super self-promoting. I hate I don't associate me with the guru, because I can't stand that label. But seriously, the amount of data that you have, the amount of inboxes, the more patterns you could see, and that's literally why, you know, V, you're on this call. You were talking about a million mailboxes. You know what I mean? You can see so much more data than I can, and you have a better hands down have a better understanding than me regarding these patterns, because you deal with them all day. You're getting the tickets all day, you know, and yeah, I mean, we see patterns all the time and have to react to them. But you don't blanket label anything. Don't listen to fear mongering.
100%. And that's why, to your exact point, don't even listen to me sometimes, because I'll just put this up very upfront, right? I'll go ahead and post like I'll go and put like a, hey, best practice, and we'll have a person message me saying, yeah, your best practice is shit, mate, because I'm doing 3x what you've said to do. I'm putting links and I have images. I've got a signature. I've got you know, the little personalized images, and I'm crushing them. I'm like, good on you. Keep doing it. Don't listen to what I'm saying. Hopefully, it just works for you forever. You know, ignore every single piece of advice I've given you. So that's the one thing I'm very upfront about, and for a lack of, I guess, a lack of choice, humble about, is we can only give best patterns. That's all we can give as people who see some level of information to best set you up. But then there'll be people who do something that is completely anti-pattern. Like there's a guy who has 60 mailboxes on a single domain. He's had that since 2018. He sends out 240 emails every single day, does not do warm up, has links, puts a bit of HTML inside of it, has images and stuff, is killing it. It's like, good on you, man. You've got a little unicorn over there. Don't listen to me. Don't touch any ones. Just do what you do. That's it.
Do you know? Do you know what is a pattern? Do you know what is a pattern?
Mm-hmm.
This is really, I think this is real, you know, lifetime advice.
Mm-hmm.
If it's working, keep doing it.
Agreed.
You know, if it's working, keep doing it until it doesn't work. Until it doesn't work. Once it stops working, then take action. But don't allow a third party to tell you to stop doing what's currently working. Yeah, that's really what it is.
You've 100%. It's that what's that? It's the same thing as founders we go through, right? It's like we're chasing the next opportunity. Like it's what's it called? The golden
the shiny object.
Yeah, shiny object syndrome, right? Like we're trying to chase the next big thing, right? And like I think someone's screenshot what I did and put it up on Twitter or something. I was like, if it working, no touchy. But like if it's just let it do a thing. No touch,
exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And that's for a reason, like until we see dramatic pattern changes on our platform, I'm like, hey, it's working. Like the deliverability stuff works. Everything's good. Like my team's always saying, hey, we need to. I'm like, is it working? Are people complaining? No. Let it be. The second we start seeing an inkling and pattern about people saying something's not right, something's wrong, sweet. We start flipping stuff around. We start making experimental changes, etc. We'll always keep testing 5% here and there, but if it's working, let it keep working for as long as it can, and then be a bit proactive. Obviously, don't be reactive. Be a bit proactive, and then make changes immediately when you see like certain parameters being not met. But otherwise, 100%.
I think, and that's actually what triggered this. One of my clients messaged him about the article of fear mongering, and he read through the article, and his instinct was, should we change what we're doing? He questioned, should we change what we're doing? And that's and every time that someone comes to me with that, it's always the same thing. Until it breaks, you just don't touch it.
Don't touch it. Yeah, 100%. 100%, sir. Like until Zoho broke, we didn't touch it.
Zoho worked for a very long time.
It worked for a very long time.
I was using Zoho for 3 years.
Yeah, one of the biggest reseller. One of the biggest. I think you had like.
I was the biggest reseller.
Account.
Zoho reseller. In the world.
So there you go, right? Straight from it.
Until I wasn't. Until I wasn't.
It's one of those things, right? But yeah, I think this was a great chat because a lot of people just need to hear the more, as you said, the generalistic advice more than just cold emails, and which is, if it works, don't touch it. That doesn't mean be lazy, but it also does mean don't just chase the next thing that someone is doing for the sake of doing it, and don't break your business. To sort of conclude a conversation, right? I forgot the agency name. This was December, not this. I think a year ago, a year and a half ago. We're in June right now. A year and a half ago, Smartlead was about 6 months old, right? This guy was using Google accounts. He was one of our best performing agencies. And then suddenly it was just issues on issues, right? And I was really struggling to figure out why and what happened. And his issues were not around deliverability. It was around mailboxes getting disconnected and all that jazz. He moved from Gmail to this third-party SMTP tool, which doesn't exist anymore, by the way. And it tanked his business. Like it literally tanked his business. He ran out of customers, ran out of clients. I'm like, yo, you're using this thing over here. I know this founder has sold you a story or whatever it is. And he comes from a reputed background. But you try it yourself. Like, here's the next 3 months for free. Go use another tool. Use our tool. Just see if it works anywhere. Didn't work anywhere. He tried a bunch of products. I'm like, sorry, bro. Like you should not have done this. You should have just stuck with Google, paid the extra couple of dollars, and you would have not lost 40 clients in a span of like a month and a half. So
Jeez.
just because the agency's gone, and I think now he's doing like some other
Oh
no
man.
code stuff. But it's crazy how pulled away we get with what the market says or someone says something,
Yeah.
right? Like you're part of the same groups I'm of. Like someone says something and everyone's like, oh, what, really? Okay, I'm gonna chill. Is it affecting you? No, just move on.
See, you unfortunately have to pay more attention to them than I do. I check in every now and then, but I use my own data, what's working for me. We just keep pushing. I stay focused on me. This is my one. I do about 6 pieces of content a year, so you won't even see me again for another few months. So
love it. When it comes with the heat, we love it.
Yeah. So I just have to friendly reminders to the world, and that's one big thing I've been reflecting on recently is whether it's just general marketing advice or even as we're saying now, it's just like you have to like you're saying you have it's all these people are promoting tactics. That's that's a shiny object. The tactics here today, it's gone tomorrow, right? The core concept of cold email has never changed. You're trying to get a reaction from someone, and you're trying to get them to react to you, and you might be using Loom videos one day or just plain text, years from now, but it's the same thing. It hasn't changed. It hasn't changed since I started. It's literally the same thing, and it's all about the foundation. And yes, there's these new cool shiny objects, but you're gonna go chase that.
It's the same thing in the end. That's it.
It's the same thing at the end. Yeah,
the same thing. The end. Like
how many leads are you getting?
That's it.
Yeah.
The amount of damage you can do if you know what to sell to who, when.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's the number one. That's the number one thing is supply and demand. If you have a product, I had a client right now. We had to let her go. She had one of the best products that I've seen. A crazy lifetime value, recurring monthly subscription model. She got 45 leads in a month. Us doing a decent job. We didn't even scale the thing to infinity. And it was such a good product market fit, such a high demand. But we were crushing it with that campaign. But unfortunately, the owner doesn't understand certain things. I try my best to educate. I did my job. I did my job.
You do the best you can, and then you let the market run itself.
Yeah,
that's it. That's all you can do there.
But it's all about the foundations. It's all about the foundations.
That's it, sir. That's absolutely it. Like and to your point, probably last statement is, I find it interesting when generally speaking, I've never got a question from you or a bunch, like I have like a set of people, right? About a topic about some issue on email. Like you'll have other conversations about, hey, maybe mailboxes are disconnecting, etc. And then we look deeper into it. But fundamentally, there's no complaints on getting leads for people. Because in the end, if you're good at your data research, copywriting, and cleaning your leads, that's all the work that needs to come through, right? So if everyone's trying to sell something, everyone's trying to make it more complicated than it is, including us, right? And I'm being very upfront about that because we all have an agenda, right? We all have an agenda. So our job's to sell, to go ahead and automate your stuff, which means use us, etc. Blah blah, right? So in the end, it's super simple. Someone wants to buy something and is in the market. It's your job as a marketer, salesperson to figure out who that person is. And that's 80% of the job, right? Because if they're very similar, I think we speak about sales. Sales and dating, very similar. Very, very similar, right? If the other person is single, right? That's one qualification, right? If the other person is single and ready to be in a relationship, that's secondary qualification. And if the other person is not single, right, is the third qualification. It's the same person, the same human being with different needs, right? So the persona has not changed. It's just about your ability to be intelligent enough to discover their patterns, to understand that they're in phase 2, which is they're ready to be in a relationship, versus phase 3, where they're already in a committed relationship, or phase 1, where yes, they're not in a relationship, but they're not keen to be in a relationship either, right? And that's where the whole intent signaling, data research, etc., that comes in. And if you can figure this piece out, that's your golden ticket. You can still sell to the first one over here, which is they're single, but they're not keen. It'll be a bit more work. That's a bit more touch points where you're trying to sell them on the problem that they didn't know existed, right? Like, you'll be alone. I'm really good for you. There's no one better in there in the market. But if you go to these people who are ready to mingle, it's straightforward. It's like, you're keen, I'm keen, let's make it happen, right? So find the good leads, send them a straightforward offer, ignore the rest. Like, you can fucking sorry,
no, go ahead. The one piece that you missed was the other foundational piece is if they're not single now, or if they're in a relationship now, they may be single in the future. Follow up.
Yes, that doesn't mean if you follow up, 100%. I completely agree with you on that, right? 100%. It's just to check to see, hey, how's your boyfriend or girlfriend doing? Like,
how are they doing now?
how they going, guys? So 100%. I completely agree with you on that. Yep, on board. Boss, this was fabulous. Thank you so much for having me on over here. I think whenever we do these sessions is when like the market shakes itself and then we have something to speak about. But yeah, man.
There's so much of it too, and it's just some of it just gets too absurd that it just gets too absurd at some point. Yeah, but it's there every day.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It's if anyone's got ADHD, I encourage you to get into the sales space, because every day is a new day. Every day is a new day. Every day is a new day. Someone's trying to take your bread. Someone's trying to tell you the industry is dead. Someone's trying to tell you something else is up. So it's a beautiful place to be. Complete chaos. But yeah, fun times, man. Let's go send some emails now and see how the market reacts to it.
Perfect. Vay, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for being on.
Thank you for having me, sir, and very kind of you for inviting me again.
Have a good day.
You too, sir.